Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
John Lennon was an English singer, songwriter, and peace activist, best known as one of the founding members of the Beatles, the most influential band in the history of popular music. Born John Winston Lennon on October 9, 1940, in Liverpool, England, he grew up during World War II and was deeply influenced by the post-war cultural changes sweeping Britain. Early life: Lennon was raised primarily by his aunt Mimi Smith after his parents separated. He showed an early interest in art and music, forming his first band, the Quarrymen, in 1956. This group eventually evolved into the Beatles after Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and later Ringo Starr joined. The Beatles era: with the Beatles, Lennon rose to global fame in the 1960s. His partnership with Paul McCartney became one of the most successful songwriting collaborations in history. Together, they wrote timeless hits such as Help, A Hard Day's Night, All You Need Is Love, and Strawberry Fields Forever. Lennon's sharp wit, rebellious spirit, and introspective lyrics helped define the Beatles' evolution from a pop sensation to a band that challenged musical and cultural boundaries. Solo career and activism: after the Beatles disbanded in 1970, Lennon embarked on a solo career marked by both introspection and activism. His early solo work included the powerful and deeply personal album, John Lennon Plastic Ono Band, 1970, and the global anthem, Imagine, 1971, a song that remains a universal call for peace and unity. He and his wife, Yoko Ono, became prominent voices for peace, staging bed-ins and speaking out against the Vietnam War. Lennon's political and social views often put him at odds with authorities, especially in the United States, where he faced deportation attempts under the Nixon administration. Later years and death: after a brief hiatus from music to focus on family life with Yoko and their son Sean, Lennon returned in 1980 with the album Double Fantasy. Tragically, just weeks after its release, on December 8, 1980, Lennon was shot and killed outside his New York City apartment building, the Dakota, by a deranged fan, Mark David Chapman. He was 40 years old. Legacy: John Lennon's influence extends far beyond music. As a songwriter, his words captured the hopes, fears, and ideals of an entire generation. As a cultural icon, he represented the power of art to challenge authority and inspire change. Songs like Imagine, Give Peace a Chance, and Working Class Hero continue to resonate with audiences worldwide. Lennon's life was one of creativity, controversy, and compassion. A man who dreamed of peace and used his voice to make that dream echo across generations. Early life and education: John Winston Lennon was born on October 9, 1940, at Liverpool Maternity Hospital, during a German air raid in World War II. His father, Alfred Lennon, was a merchant seaman often away at sea, while his mother, Julia Lennon, was a free-spirited woman who encouraged John's love for music. When his parents separated, young John went to live with his strict but caring aunt Mimi Smith and her husband George, in their home at 251 Menlove Avenue. Lennon attended Quarrymen High School, where his mischievous nature and rebellious attitude often got him into trouble. Despite being bright and creative, he had little interest in academics. What did capture his heart, however, was music, especially American rock and roll. He idolized Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, and Buddy Holly, whose raw energy and rebellious image inspired his musical ambitions. The birth of the Beatles: in 1956, Lennon formed a skiffle group called the Quarrymen, named after his school. The following year, he met Paul McCartney at a church fete, and soon after, Paul introduced him to George Harrison. The group went through several name changes, eventually becoming the Beatles in 1960. After adding Ringo Starr as their drummer, they began performing in Liverpool's Cavern Club in Hamburg, Germany, honing their craft and developing the electric stage presence that would soon take the world by storm. Their breakthrough came in 1962 with the single Love Me Do, followed by a string of hits including Please Please Me, She Loves You, and I Wanna Hold Your Hand. Beatlemania exploded across the globe, and the Beatles quickly became symbols of youthful energy and cultural change. Lennon's artistic and spiritual growth. By the mid-1960s, Lennon began to grow restless with fame and sought deeper meaning in his art. Albums like Rubber Soul, 1965, and Revolver, 1966, reflected his introspective and experimental side. Blending rock with poetic lyricism, his songs such as In My Life, Norwegian Wood, and Tomorrow Never Knows revealed a more personal and philosophical Lennon. In 1967, Lennon experienced a spiritual awakening through psychedelics and Eastern philosophy, eventually studying transcendental meditation with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi in India. However, he also began to challenge authority, religion, and politics more openly, famously declaring that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus, a statement that sparked global controversy. Life with Yoko Ono. In 1966, Lennon met Yoko Ono, an avant-garde Japanese artist, at an art gallery in London. Their relationship, both romantic and artistic, became one of the most talked about partnerships in the world. Yoko's influence led Lennon to explore conceptual art, experimental music, and political activism. The couple married in 1969 and famously held bed-ins for peace in Amsterdam and Montreal, promoting peace through media attention. Together they recorded Give Peace a Chance, which became an anthem for the anti-war movement. The end of the Beatles. By 1970, tensions within the Beatles had reached a breaking point. Personal differences, creative disagreements, and business disputes led to their breakup. Lennon, though disillusioned, embraced his newfound independence. His first major solo release, John Lennon Plastic Ono Band, 1970, stripped away the polish of the Beatles' sound in favor of raw emotion and truth. Songs like Mother and Working Class Hero revealed his deep pain and yearning for authenticity. Solo career and activism. Lennon's solo work throughout the 1970s showcased his range, from the dreamlike optimism of Imagine, 1971, to the political defiance of Power to the People. He used his platform to advocate for peace, feminism, and social justice, often appearing at rallies and protests. His political outspokenness made him a target of the U.S. government and under President Nixon. He faced deportation attempts due to his anti-war stance. Despite this, Lennon remained steadfast, becoming a hero to counterculture movements around the world. After years of legal battles, he was finally granted U.S. permanent residency in 1976. The house husband years and returned to music after the birth of his son Sean Lennon in 1975. John took a break from music to focus on family life. He described himself as a house husband, cooking, baking bread, and spending time with Sean while Yoko managed their business affairs. In 1980, Lennon returned to the studio, refreshed and inspired, releasing Double Fantasy, a collaboration with Yoko Ono that celebrated love, renewal, and peace. Songs like Just Like, Starting Over, and Woman showed a mature, contented side of Lennon that fans had never seen before. Tragic death and enduring legacy. On December 8, 1980, tragedy struck when Lennon was shot to death outside his New York City home, The Dakota, by Mark David Chapman, a Disturbed fan. His death shocked the world and marked the end of an era. Millions of people around the globe mourned his loss, holding vigils and memorials in his honor. Lennon's legacy lives on through his timeless music and message of peace. Songs like Imagine, Give Peace a Chance, and Instant Karma continue to inspire new generations to dream of a better, more compassionate world. He was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, once as a Beatle, 1988, and once as a solo artist, 1994. John Lennon was more than a musician. He was a visionary, a rebel, and a dreamer. His art challenged society to think differently, his words urged people to believe in peace. And his voice continues to echo through time as one of the most profound forces in modern music and culture. Influence on modern music and culture. John Lennon's impact on music and culture is immeasurable. As both a member of the Beatles and a solo artist, he helped reshape not only the sound of popular music but also its purpose, turning rock and roll into a form of art and social commentary. Lennon's songwriting combined sharp wit, deep emotion, and a fearless honesty rarely seen in pop music of the time. His ability to translate personal experience into universal feeling, heard in songs like In My Life, Jealous Guy, and Imagine, set a new standard for authenticity in songwriting. Artists ranging from David Bowie, Elton John, and Bob Dylan to later generations like U2, Oasis, and Coldplay have all cited Lennon as a major influence. Even hip-hop artists and contemporary pop stars, such as Kanye West, Lady Gaga, and Billie Eilish, have drawn from Lennon's willingness to experiment and speak openly about emotion and identity. His message that music could be both beautiful and revolutionary continues to inspire musicians who seek to make a difference through their art. Political and social influence. Lennon was not content to be a passive celebrity. He used his fame as a platform to advocate for peace, love, and social justice, often challenging political systems and cultural norms. His songs became anthems for activism. Give Peace a Chance became a rallying cry during the Vietnam War, while Imagine remains one of the most powerful calls for unity and peace ever written. In the early 1970s, Lennon and Yoko Ono's outspoken political activism made them both beloved by peace movements and targeted by the establishment. Lennon was vocal about civil rights, feminism, and working-class struggles, supporting causes such as the Irish independence movement, Native American rights, and the anti-war effort. He also envisioned a world beyond borders and divisions, a recurring theme in his music and philosophy. Imagine All the People, Living Life in Peace, became a line sung around the world. From concerts to protests to humanitarian events, the Lennon-Ono partnership. Yoko Ono was not only Lennon's partner in life but also his partner in art and activism. Their marriage represented a fusion of music, conceptual art, and political statement. While their collaboration was often misunderstood by the public, Yoko's avant-garde ideas deeply influenced Lennon's creative direction. Together, they blurred the boundaries between life and art. Their bed-ins, peace billboards, and multimedia projects challenged traditional notions of celebrity and performance. They proved that love itself could be an act of protest, a radical idea in an age of political unrest. Even after Lennon's death, Yoko has continued to preserve and promote his legacy, overseeing the John Lennon Estate, the Imagine Peace Tower in Iceland, and numerous charity efforts dedicated to peace and human rights. Legacy and cultural memory. Decades after his death, Lennon remains a symbol of hope and rebellion. His face adorns murals. His lyrics are quoted by activists and world leaders, and his music continues to bridge generations. Imagine is performed at global peace events, Olympic ceremonies, and memorials, reaffirming his enduring relevance. In 2002, a BBC poll ranked him as the 8th greatest Briton of all time. and Rolling Stone consistently lists him among the greatest songwriters and singers in history. His former home in Liverpool is now a museum, and his messages of peace are etched into memorials around the world, including Strawberry Fields in New York's Central Park, a tranquil tribute visited by millions each year. More than 40 years after his death, Lennon's influence still resonates not only in music but in
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.